Hey everybody, it's your boy Nerdicane back again doing another comic book review. I know I haven't, it's been a while. I didn't know this was coming out until about the week before it came out. This is Batman Maxx Arkham Dreams. Now the reason I can buy this is because it is an IDW book. DC is on boycott until the end of the year because of Robbie Rodriguez. What he did to Ethan Van Sciver, what he did as a creator on social media. Yeah, that's a no-go. So DC, if you're not going to handle that situation, I'm going to handle you until I see fit. So, okay. Some things from the 90s have an expiration date. The 90s action movies do not. 90s action comics do not. Spawn does not. Grunge music does not. Boy bands, yes. Girl bands, yes. Friends, yes. Yeah, there's a lot of things from the 90s that have a time limit, have an expiration date. Unfortunately, as much as I love and I loved the Maxx, the series, it was weird, but in a really good way. I described it to somebody yesterday as the original Maxx was like listening to the stories of somebody who takes really good acid trips. That's the original Maxx. This Maxx is like listening to the stories told by a burnt out guy who tripped too much acid. Okay, the Maxx was a very cool, very poignant story back then. It was trippy as all hell. And it actually, I think the original Maxx works better today than it did back then. There was I can't remember her name. She was the Jungle Queen. She was the woman who he was connected to. The villain was Mr. Gone. Now, Mr. Gone was the representation of her abuser when she was a kid, and she kind of, to deal with that pain, she goes back into this outback, which is kind of like your own psyche. I know it's getting weird, but Mr. Gone was always there haunting her in her safe place, in the place where she felt powerful. Maxx was connected to her too through an accident, and he wound up in there as well. So this was the Maxx. The original Maxx was very much about this guy, the Maxx, but in a lot of ways it was more about the woman who, she was dealing with. The villain was her abuser, and she was dealing with that, and it bounced in a confusing way in between the real world and this outback world. And it was very cool, and I think it works today with so many people coming out against their past sexual abusers. And I think that story would work very well today. It was a very good story, so people should check that out. This, however, just skip it. This was, okay. So, Sam Keith has been taking a break from comics. He hasn't done a whole lot, hasn't worked a whole lot. I was kind of, a few months ago, I was wondering what he had been doing. Apparently, what he's been doing is not comic books, because look at this flat Batmobile. This is awful. This is a flat angle. It's so weird. His face, I guess he does caricatures. His faces are I do like the illusion of shape in the face, the rigidness and the cratering and things like that. I do like that in Batman. You can tell he did a lot of work here, and then you can tell he did almost no work here. Now this scene right here is weird because he's coming out of this box, he's running away. Just the way this looked, it looks odd. It looks like it doesn't fit. And the reason, partly because the Maxx doesn't actually fit. That's part of the thing about the Maxx, is he doesn't fit in the real world. But this just looks odd. This looks like one of Nerdicane Jr.'s Sesame Street books, where you see the legs of Cookie Monster. If you watch Sesame Street, modern Sesame Street, they'll show the legs of like Elmo and Cookie Monster every once in a while, and especially Cookie Monster. Cookie Monster looks really weird with legs. When you see his full body, it looks weird, and that's what this is. So this is not Batman. This is, I call him, well, DNC calls Tom King's Batman, he calls him John Batman. This is not that guy either. This is John Batman. This is, Officer John Batman. He's a self-appointed, sort of above the police. His name is spelled, his last name is spelled Batman. But just like, Jason Bateman, we don't say Jason Bateman. We say Jason Bateman. So this is Officer John Batman. And if you call him John Batman, he'll get slightly perturbed and correct you. He's like, actually it's pronounced Batman. Like that. All of the things that are the mythos of Batman, the detective, sort of the ninja, all of that is gone from this. So basically, this guy comes running out and the cops are like, oh, that's weird, arrest him. He's got claws, arrest him. And they're going to take him to Arkham because, this is what cops do. And right here, Officer John Batman says, I'd like to come along, officers, if that's okay with you. Batman doesn't ask things like that. Batman would be like, yeah, this guy is something different. He's out of your league. I'm going to take him. And he would not ask. He would just do. That's Batman. Now, Officer John Batman asks, okay, so here we go to Arkham. This is moving really fast. This dude, I don't know why he looks like a chimp, but he's obviously a mad scientist. Batman walks in and is just like this. It's almost like this is the first time he's ever dealt with an insane scientist. It's like the first time he's been to Arkham. He is an observer. He's not Batman. He's not a cop. He's not a guard at Arkham. He is like a UN observer at Arkham. And all this weird stuff is going on. So instantly, Batman, if Batman were in this and this dude is messing with this dude's brain, Batman would be like, okay, something's up with this guy. I need to protect my brain. And there would be something in his cowl to protect his brainwaves. But this is Officer John Batman. He gets tricked and he gets knocked unconscious because subwaves, there's subliminal, PSI, think it's whatever, nothing matters. The gist of the story is Officer John Batman he's starting to deal with what the Maxx deals with, in and out of this Outback, but they don't know whose Outback this is. I'm gonna guess it's the Joker's. This stupid bit. This was supposed to be funny, where the Maxx is like, I'm gonna find out who it is, and he slams his fist, and then he's like, my claw is stuck, which just fell flat on its face. Sam Keith, you're not funny. This was a cool scene, though. This is the scene where the Maxx stops being the Maxx, and because you can see a chin under there, and because you can see an unkept beard under there, a 5 o'clock shadow, this is a really cool part of the book, is where you see this character, Mysterious. What is he? What shape is he? Why does he look like that? This is the moment where it's kind of revealed, where you're like, okay, this is a person in a really strange mask. And it's a very interesting peeling back of that curtain as to who the Maxx is. So yeah, let's see. Sam Keith's art style, he's doing really well with Batman. He's doing really well with some of these figures. Like, the same guy who drew this. This is terrible. That's the same guy. It just shows an inconsistency. DNC talks about portfolio pieces, and that's what that seems like it was. But this page right here, with all this blah 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 blah, this is where it made me stop and go, okay, who's the editor? So I went back, and because it just bored me to tears, and I've read this a couple times. So, editor Scott Dunbier, that's a lie. Editor is no one, because any editor, Heather Antos as an editor, would probably look at this and be like, yeah, this needs to be cut down a lot. When you come off of this page, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's too many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's too many. This looks like 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Once again, it's too many. Way too many. Way too much blah, blah, blah. And all of this blah, blah, blah goes... This is why I'm standing back so you can't read. I don't want to get copy strike on this. All of this means nothing. There's nothing explained. It's just blah, 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 hypothetical. Oy. So this is the John Quinn. I can't remember her. God, I gotta go back and read the other ones. This is her. She's the queen here. She is the one pulling all the strings connected to this, but blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares. Boom, instant. Batman comes back here. Or sorry. Officer John Batman comes back here, and he snaps back. This whole thing took place in a split second. And here they are, is they got him hooked up, and they're hooking up Penguin to this as well. And they're saying it will take some time off of his parole, which you don't get time taken off your parole, you get time taken off your sentence. But whatever, that's me splitting hairs. Once again, Batman would come back and be like, oh, I got to get out of this room. I got to do something other than stand here and go, boom, right back to the Outback because of this. That's what Batman would do. Officer John Batman gets sucked back in, and there's a situation there's parts that are missing, and the parts that are missing are like the Maxx thinking that he's an enemy, he's the problem, when there's actually an enemy behind him. There's a creature, D&D creature. I don't know what the hell. Oh my goodness, this was absolutely awful. This had none of the feel of the original one. This had none of the interest or the, that trippiness that was cool to the original one. Look at this. 6 covers. Well, no, 5 covers. 5 covers to this. One of them by Jim freaking Lee. Look at that. This is awful. That's just Batman writing him. That's terrible. Do you think this is bad? Let's go to the back page. It gets so much worse. G.I. Joe, nobody cares anymore. Look how many alternate covers this book has. This book might have more alternate covers than pages in the story. The story is an absolute mess. The story is going to go nowhere, and it's because it's on IDW, and it's two characters that are being borrowed. One being borrowed by the guy who created this character in the Nothing Matters universe of IDW. Here's part of the problem with it. Sam Keith. Art and story. You're getting to do a little too much, Sam Keith. Yeah. Colorist? Color was okay. Letters were okay, too. Just this guy... I hope they paid Sean Lee double, because he had a lot of dialogue to letter. Editor Scott Dunn-Beer, you are not doing your job. Publisher, whoever, whatever. And a nice tip of the hat to Bob Kang and Bill Finger. Here's part of the problem. Yeah, John Layman. You had John Layman helping you with your story. John Layman. Oh, this book is a disaster. I was really looking forward to it. I was really looking forward to seeing my old friend, the Maxx, but he did not age well, and it's very disappointing. It's very disheartening. I read this and I was somewhat depressed after reading this. I was like, oh. And I read it and I thought to myself, did the originals suck? So I went down in the basement and I pulled out some of the original ones and I read the original ones, and the original ones didn't suck. The original ones were really cool in this weird sort of way. It's not your average superhero book, and it's definitely not your average book from Image, from the early days of Image. It's weird, but those are worth reading. Those are very cool. Those are worth checking out. This, however, oh man, skip this. That's all I got. This is Nerdicane, a little depressed. I'm gonna go do something fun, but yeah, this book sucks.